Hello everyone and welcome to Patch Notes, the show where we cover the biggest gaming news from the week in a nice bit-sized package. My name is Drew, and as always, it's great to see you guys. You may notice that there's an omission of my friend Connor this episode. He unfortunately had to work, so it's just me this episode, which is funny because we had extra people last episode, but now it's just me, so we're going old school with this one. We're doing it the old way. This week, some multiplayer games officially shut down. Microsoft may have something up its sleeve. Nintendo Switch sales are way higher than expected. And EA finally faces the music. Sort of. We have a lot to get into this week, so let's go ahead and get into it. Paragon and Gigantic shut down. Wait, are those games or... Two multiplayer MOBA-ish games got the axe this past week. Paragon, a third-person MOBA being developed by Epic Studios of all things, was surprisingly shut down this week despite a lot of support. Also, Gigantic, another third-person MOBA by the developers Motiga, announced their official shutdown this week, even though this one was kind of not a surprise and had a long time coming. Paragon has reportedly changed a lot since its release according to its players, whose main complaints were that the game never really found its niche in the very competitive MOBA market. This meant that player numbers struggled for a while, but I'm still surprised that Epic just threw in the towel and gave up on this one. We can only speculate, but I think a huge part of this shift is the fact that Fortnite has been massively successful for Epic. So they're probably moving a lot of people over to work on that game rather than a game that doesn't really have that many players. Paragon's future wasn't really bright and no one's really sure whether it was going to be successful or not, whereas Fortnite was already successful and it hadn't even fully released yet. Honestly, I think this is a result of Epic kind of just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. They've obviously been going with the fads for the past couple years, with Fortnite being a kind of tower defense multiplayer zombie simulator and then transforming into a battle royale simulator, and Paragon was Epic's answer to the ever-rising MOBA market, which now has become oversaturated and just totally filled with basically any kind of game you can imagine. I mean, hell, even Unreal Tournament that they're still developing as of recording this is just them following the competitive shooter market like Overwatch or Rainbow Six Siege. Like, they're just kind of following the trends right now. So it's gonna be interesting to see how their portfolio changes over the next couple years, considering Fortnite's success. Are they going to just double down on Fortnite and get rid of Unreal Tournament and all that other stuff that they were working on, or are they going to keep going with Unreal Tournament despite the fact that no one's really talking about it right now? Also, Gigantic announced its shutdown this week, but this time I'm more surprised that it took this long to happen. I'm not trying to say the game is bad. I personally never played it, and from what I heard, it was good, and I know people worked really hard on it. No, this doesn't surprise me because the developer Motiga shut down officially in November of last year. That's almost 3 months of a game just kind of sitting in limbo. Perfect World, which is the game's publisher, as ironic as that sounds, finally announced that the game would be shutting down its servers this July. So if you're a fan of the game, you still have some time before the summer to get some more sessions in. And I know that doesn't mean much, but hey, it's what you can take for now. I think this is just a big signaling to the industry that the MOBA fad is moving on. Games like League of Legends, Dota 2, Smite, all those kinds of things are still hugely successful, there's no doubt about that. But I bet if you were to try to introduce a new MOBA now, it would just be dead on arrival. The market is totally cornered and saturated to the point where only the big guys can really be successful. Besides, everybody's moved on to the new fad, Battle Royale games. Just watch out, later this year we're gonna have Super Mario Battle Royale, Super Mario Battlegrounds, where you have to drop in to Princess Peach's castle and find all your shells, and you gotta destroy those dirty turtles. Once we start seeing big developers and big publishers start to push out their own versions of the Battle Royale genre, I think that will be kind of the signal to the death of the fad. I think it will come within the next couple years. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some big Battle Royale games announced this year at E3 from like EA and Activision or both. So yeah, keep your eyes open for that. They may be good, and they may prolong the fad a little bit longer than it needs to, but I don't have high hopes that this fad is going to last very long. But the good news is that another fad will rise up and the industry will just move on to that, so things will just keep on going. Microsoft potentially buying everyone? Paragon recently posted an article talking about Microsoft's general lack of exclusives on their platform. But amidst the typical speculation on upcoming titles and whatnot, the writer decided to drop the absolutely massive bomb that Microsoft is in talks to purchase EA of all things in a huge deal. Yes, that EA, Electronic Arts. The company currently in hot water for releasing 2 huge duds last year. More on that later though. Somebody at Microsoft apparently gave Paragon this information. They had a source that was verified or something like that. I don't know, but this could potentially be huge. Let's see how many times I can say huge in this story. Just remember, Microsoft spent $2.5 billion purchasing Minecraft a few years ago, and that was just one game in its developer. An admittedly huge game that has probably been really successful for them, but still, that's a lot of money. Purchasing all of EA would be such an astronomically high price that I honestly can never see it happening. Maybe Microsoft is purchasing a lot of EA's smaller studios or less successful studios like BioWare, but considering that Anthem is coming out at some point, I don't see that really happening, so maybe there's smaller indie studios? I don't really know. But honestly, I don't see anything big coming from this. Does Microsoft desperately need exclusives? Of course. And is EA in a tricky spot financially? Possibly. But that doesn't mean that either company would be willing to go through with this. Honestly, I can't really see it being beneficial for anybody. EA would probably ask a huge price for any of their studios, and after Minecraft, I don't think that Microsoft would be willing to spend the price that EA is probably going to ask for them. What I can most likely see happening is a further partnership between EA and Microsoft, and they have partnered before on a lot of things, you know, exclusive DLC and stuff like that, and pre-order bonuses, whatever, but maybe we'll see more exclusives from EA and from their studios on the Xbox and Windows platform. I think that is more likely. They're probably in talks to have some sort of exclusivity deal rather than just buying a bunch of studios outright. Either way, I guess we'll know this E3 whether any news comes out about this, so stay tuned. Nintendo Switch switches the script on Nintendo consoles. Nintendo announced this past week that the Switch has officially surpassed the Wii U in terms of sales. The Switch has managed to sell 15 million units in just under a year, or about 10 months, which beats the 13 million lifetime sales of the Wii U. Obviously, the Wii U was a failed console from the outset due to poor marketing and things like that. But I think this goes to show that the Switch is already pretty damn popular and has some pretty long legs for the rest of the generation. I mean, hell, I remember seeing the first announcement trailers for the Switch and things like that, and I was like, this is such a huge gimmick. This is the death of a Nintendo console. Like, this isn't going to be successful. It's going to be the last thing that they make and things like that. But holy crap, was I totally, completely wrong. And most of that is due to the fact that they have some really, really good games coming out for this console. I mean, Breath of the Wild and the new Mario game are reportedly fantastic. I played Breath of the Wild on Twitch just a little bit, and I got a good taste of it. It's a really, really good game, and I think that that is ultimately what is saving this console and making it sell so well. Nintendo is really showing that if you cater to the hardcore gaming audience and make games that are just first and foremost fun to play and entertaining all the way throughout, then you can sell a console successfully. So yeah, hopefully Nintendo can continue this momentum and catch up to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One towards the end of this generation.
What up, guys? Thank you for having me, EA. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Jesse Wellens, and I am a YouTube creator. So I am here to...
EA recently had its big earnings call this past week, and whew, it was a doozy. We learned some pretty interesting information about some games that were announced and games that were released last year. They reported lower sales than expected for Battlefront 2 and an official delay of one of their biggest upcoming titles. At this point, no one should be surprised that Battlefront 2's sales were disappointing, but they honestly weren't too far off the mark. EA was expecting 10 million copies of the game to be sold, and it only sold a measly, meager, weak 9 million copies. To compare, Resident Evil 7, my favorite game from last year that came out at the beginning of last year, has only sold 4.8 million copies or something like that. So yeah, that's not too bad considering that it's the worst crime against humanity this side of the Holocaust according to the internet. It just goes to show that no matter how hard the internet cries about something, hype still trumps all. Either way though, Battlefront still performed worse than EA was expecting, which probably influenced their decision to remove microtransactions temporarily from the game. Some games gamers, including me, naively thought that EA would learn from this whole mess and would just keep microtransactions out of the game entirely. But unfortunately, in the same earnings call, we learned that EA is planning to bring microtransactions back slowly over the next few months. I can't say this is a huge surprise, but it is pretty disappointing. Every time I try to give a company the benefit of the doubt, they always pull the rug out from underneath me. It's getting to the point where I can't trust anyone anymore, and my soul is becoming a sullen, dark pit of sadness and anger. But anyway, EA also officially announced in this call that BioWare needed more time on their new huge game Anthem and that it was being delayed until 2019. Anthem has a lot of promise and potential, but a lot of people are worried that it'll just end up being another EA front for microtransactions and digital gambling. So I actually welcome this delay because it shows that maybe EA is changing their approach with the game a bit, and at the very least it's giving BioWare more time to polish it. So with all of this news and all this bad news about EA right now, it may seem like EA is in some dire straits, at least financially, but actually, as of recording this, it was announced that EA's stock prices are at an all-time high since the Battlefront 2 fiasco, so they've definitely bounced back at this point, and there's definitely no problem as far as their executives are concerned, I'm sure. So yeah, their PR team apparently has done a good enough job to get their stock prices back up, so if anybody was concerned or hoping that EA was going to shut down after all this or learn something from all this, it's probably not going to happen. All they really learned is that if they do something wrong, if they just wait long enough and don't really talk about anything, then the issue will just kind of go away, because us gamers, our memory spans are pretty damn short. And that's going to do it for me this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, I'm sorry that Connor wasn't here to join me. Rest in peace. But I did have a good time talking about this stuff with you guys. I really appreciate you guys supporting the show. If you liked this, then be sure to check out our Twitch page. We've been doing a lot of stuff. I stream every single day now. 1 p.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern is usually the window that I stream. And every Monday, I stream Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Every Wednesday, I stream Half-Life 2 on hard mode, or I'm just going to stream Half-Life stuff on every Wednesday. And every Friday, I stream Fallout. I'm actually playing through all the Fallout games, starting with the first one, which I've never played before. I'm doing a completely blind playthrough. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm typically playing the game that I'm reviewing next. So if you want to see what's coming up on the channel, you should check that out. But yeah, come join us on Twitch. It's a fun time there. Sometimes Matt will stop by, sometimes Connor will stop by, sometimes other people may stop by and be on the stream. But you can see my cats. My cats show up on stream. Also, we have a new loyalty program on our stream. The more you watch our stream, you can get some benefits and rewards and stuff like that. So it's a really fun time, and I highly encourage you guys to check that out because, well, YouTube isn't giving us money anymore, so it'd be really appreciated. All right, I'm done selling myself. I'm done selling my soul to you guys. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye. She's actually pretty happy about this, right? Yeah, she's purring. You're on camera. Do you know that? Yeah, she don't care.